I'll be honest. When you're an independent artist, you're just kind of like you're doing it all yourself, right? You're like I'm doing the artist development on my own. So for a while, it was kind of like just throwing stuff at the wall. And honestly, it was mainly because I was still trying to figure out who I was. What am I trying to say? What am I supposed to be? What is my purpose?
Welcome to another episode of Love's Music. I'm going to read something for you folks real quick. Focusing on me, clearing all the energies that I don't need, breathing in the summer breeze, finally finding my peace. These are the lyrics from hit song Golden, sung by Raquel Liane and what I could only describe as a Billie Holiday-esque voice. Raquel Liane is a singer, songwriter, producer, vocal instructor, and a killer performer. And we have her on our show today. Up next, my discussion with Raquel Liane. All right, cool. Well, first and foremost, thank you for being here. I'm certainly a fan of your stuff, Raquel. I've been looking forward to this for a while, so this is like a real present for me. I mean, and you and getting able to like do some research on you and kind of like see what you're about, a little bit more of your history. There's a lot of things that surprise me. So we know you're a singer, we know you're a songwriter, we know you are a top shelf performer. Mm-hmm. What don't we know about you?
I used to play field hockey in 8th grade. And I come from a military family. So I'm a daughter of a sergeant from the Army, and he used to be in the Marine Corps as well. And then my oldest brother fought in Afghanistan, and the middle child is in the Navy as we speak. Yeah.
Make sure you on our behalf thank him for his service.
For his service, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So is it safe to assume that you traveled a lot? When you hear Army, you think kind of bouncing around a lot. Is that a fair assumption, or is that incorrect?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I did travel a lot. I going back and forth to their graduations, but also going to see my dad when he was like stationed on base. I used to travel a lot. And then also because my mom was a lot of times raising all of us while he was away, I would go back and forth into New York City to be babysat by my grandma while my mom was at work. And so, yeah, we did a lot of traveling that way as well.
So who in your family laid the groundwork for your musical foundation?
I think they both agreed mutually that I should like do something in music, like when enrolling me in classes. But I do want to say that my mom has always been like, yeah, that's your career. Like that's what you're gonna do, and I'm gonna nurture it and cultivate it as much as possible.
Okay. And about what age did these talents begin to manifest?
Oh, like since I could speak, honestly.
Yeah.
My mom loves to tell this story.
Okay.
Back when I was like 3 years old, I believe, my favorite song to sing was "The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow" from Annie. And she said that once I was able to speak, she took me to her job at the Federal Reserve when she was working there. And I ran into her boss's office. And this is she likes to say, she's like, oh, this is my boss, like my big boss. Like she's like, super busy. And you just came in there, and I like busted into her door, and I started singing "The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow." And they were like, oh my God, she sounds beautiful. Yeah, right. Like, I was just like, no balls, just balls to the ball.
There you go. All right.
Yeah.
And this is you said this is like really young, right? Like 3, 4?
Yeah, this is like 3, 4.
Okay. So how do you get from Annie preschool
to
what's the next step? Because I think you alluded to some musical theater, I believe, right?
Yeah, I did. I started musical theater is like my foundation. I've always wanted to be a singer, and I've always listened to like the music that I do now, like R&B, pop, and everything like that. But when I started taking voice lessons and everything like that, I was trained first and foremost in classical and musical theater, especially because I used to dance too. So my dance and vocal school was like an all-around theater school. So I took dance lessons, acting lessons, and vocal. So we always focus on musical theater first and foremost, because, that's when...
I'm sorry, was this in conjunction to regular school? Like you went to regular school and then the theater? So you didn't, it wasn't like art?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, it was. So I started at 8 years old.
Okay.
Um, and well, I started my vocal lessons at 8 years old, let me
Okay.
say. I started dance at 3, but once I realized I wanted to sing as a career, my mom put me in the vocal lessons, and then as soon as I knew it, I was dancing and singing, and then I had my acting classes as well, and yeah, I was doing it all.
So what was your first starring role? Or the role that you loved the most, I should say.
My first starring role.
Well, the role that you loved the most. I don't.
Okay. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. The role that I love the most. So actually, probably wasn't until high school when I started doing the musical theater program at my high school, which was also another really intense program that I was a part of. I guess my favorite role was playing Nina in The Heights. It's one of my
Oh,
favorite musicals. Yeah, one of my favorite musicals, and she was my dream role to play her. So I worked
really?
really hard. Worked really
Right.
hard to get her. I got
Okay.
her.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you have all these, you're like this like pool of talent, right? You're dancing, you're singing, you're acting. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure you're garnering attention for all these different performances.
Hmm.
At what point or what made you kind of put music to the forefront and that kind of took its kind of like play the most real estate in your heart?
I didn't start writing my own music until after I left college, actually. And it was mainly because, so I left college mainly because I don't know if I told you, but I went to school for musical theater as well. Like I followed that trajectory all the way
Right.
up until college. And um, it wasn't until I left that I started writing my music. And I started writing it because I had a lot of trouble in the past figuring out who I was, especially within the music world, and especially in musical theater too, because I struggled a lot with typecasting and and who I was. Everyone was always telling me what box I should fit into. You know, you're this, you're that, and you know, you're loud, you're boisterous, and they would
Right.
put me in things that they would put me in roles that I kind of felt like didn't always speak to who I was. Um, or not necessarily who I
Like we
was.
need this type or we need this.
Yeah, like they would focus on what I looked like and what they and how they perceived me, and kind of felt like they never really saw me to the fullest, like it as a fullest. Like say like
So let me try to paraphrase. Like, so because of your appearance, it made them hard to look at you objectively as a performer. It's like, oh,
well,
is that
yeah.
what you're, okay?
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you want to it kind of gets into like musical theater is a very white space as well,
Okay.
you know. So when you think about like yeah, when you think about like she's a 4'10" Puerto Rican, you know what I'm saying? And so she can't really be in the chorus line because she's too short, or she can't really be the ingenue because she's not white enough, you know, things like that.
We're not
So
going to consider her for Mary Poppins. You're like, well,
exactly,
yeah,
you know,
we're
so
all 17, you know, like,
certain things like that, or even personality wise, maybe take race out of it. It's like even personality wise, it's like maybe she's too boisterous to be a sweet Cinderella
yeah.
type. You know, she's like, but you know, there were certain roles that I felt like I had parts of me that could play those things, and I felt very limited. So I felt in turn I didn't really feel seen, but also maybe it was because I didn't really see myself that people couldn't see that.
Okay.
So I ended up leaving, and I went to go find myself, and I started doing that through writing my own music and taking back that narrative instead of letting people tell me who I should be and what I should be playing, what kind of music I should be doing, or how I should be like coming out into the world. I wanted to take control over that for myself.
You feel like music gave you more freedom.
Yes, music did. Yes, music did give me a lot more freedom. Writing my own music, doing my own shows. Um, you know, I wasn't always getting the opportunities that I felt like I deserved, so I started to create my own.
That makes sense.
And yeah.
Now, would you be able to speak to the challenge of making that transition from IP that's already solidified, right? With like years of background. You know the songs, you've seen the movies, you're playing roles of people you've already seen. You have a
Mhm.
director telling you to move like this. Like you have this basically this template of how to act, and now you're going over to this blank canvas where you're like, oh, I'm just going to make a song out of nothing. There was nothing in this space, and I'm going to put a song here. Like that
Yeah.
has to be a challenging transition, I would assume, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. So,
Okay.
so yeah, that's exactly what I mean. It kind of was like a culture shock almost because to write your own music and to come up with your own ideas, you have to be so connected with yourself. And when I was in musical theater, I was connected to other people's stories and trying to connect them to myself, but I wasn't connected. I was kind of lost in the sauce. Like I didn't really know who I was because, I didn't take that time. I've gone through a journey of where like I didn't really know who I was outside of the acting, the dancing, and the music. Like I just was kind of like a performing machine, and I just did what you said people told me to do. I
Right.
stood where people told me to stand. I rehearsed when people told me to rehearse, and I just did the whole thing. And
Right.
and so when I left and I had to do it on my own and by myself and figure out what is it that I want to create and how am I going to create it and what am I going to do? It was a little culture shock. It was like, oh, I don't know who I am.
This is you coming right out of college, right? So we're talking 20, 21.
I actually almost finished college. I had 80 credits left. So,
Are you done?
almost. No, I'm not yet. So
Get that Phoenix Online degree, knock out the money.
I know, right? And my mom's like, you should have just finished. I'm
All
like,
right. Well, I'm gonna be a
so
star. What's the point, right?
yeah, right. I mean, who knows? I
Yeah.
mean, I might go back. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
If I need it. But so I was like 20, yeah, 21, almost about to be 22.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, would it be fair to say nobody really knows who they are? You're still kind of like trying on different identities. I mean, by the time you get to like 19, 20, 21, you're like, you're supposed to
Yeah.
be an adult, but you don't really feel like an adult.
Oh, for
You're
sure.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
People are just dipping their toe into like their first career. Like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm ahead of the curve. Am I behind the curve? Am I,
Yeah, for
you know?
sure. And
So there's an element of that already. And then on top of it, you've been basically adapting to roles for your entire adolescent life,
yeah.
right? From one
Hmm.
role to the next to the next.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
now you're dipping into music. The stuff that you're doing now, was that your first genre of music? Like when you're like, all right, I'm gonna pick up a pen and write. Like what were your initial inspirations? Like what kind of music were you trying to write? Was it similar to stuff you are now, or did you kind of come from a different?
Yeah, so initially I did want to do R&B, and I started with that. I have a song called So Into You. I'm not sure if you listened to it, but it was like the first song that I ever released. It was a song that I ended up co-writing with a couple of friends of mine at the time, like in Jersey, and they were like my introduction to everything, to like how to find beats and how to like upload my stuff. And so yeah, it was an R&B track, and it was my first ever song that I released. It The goal was always to be an R&B, but I have delved into like EDM and think like my second single was
I heard the
an
dance
EDM.
record.
Yeah, Circles was an EDM track. It's a very popular song. I did that one with my longtime high school friend, and yeah, that was another thing that I delved in. But R&B has always been like my foundation because it's what I grew up with, and it's the most streamed genre in my car. So
So how involved are you in the production process? Like I hear you say you collaborate with a friend, you collaborate with you play an instrument. Do you do what I do and just mumble things to your engineer and somehow music comes out later? Like
yeah,
what's your process?
sometimes, sometimes. So I do play a little bit of piano. I can I'm not Mozart, but I can play chords, and I have created songs just by like fiddling on my piano and then like laying them down in Logic and everything like that. I just recently started heavily getting into like production, maybe starting back in 2022. So, and a lot of my newer stuff, you'll see, or maybe hear that my sound is kind of starting to get a little bit more polished because it's like there's sounds that I feel like I'm actually coming up with on my own, whether I'm like I'm not a producer, but I will go into Splice and I will like, make demos and things like that. Or sometimes I will actually hear them in my head and then I'll just play them out on the piano and do it like that. But then I'll send them out to my producer friends and I'll have them polish it and everything like that.
Got it. In terms of song concept and lyrics,
Mm-hmm.
coming into the studio with the song already done in your head and then you just have to make the music? Or are you working from the music and then kind of reverse engineering it back into the song lyrics, concept, mood, etc.?
Yeah. Most of the time I think I'm working from like the music, the beat, and then the lyrics. But sometimes not. Sometimes there have been times where I've like wrote the whole song to actually a lot of times I'll write a whole song to a whole different beat. Like maybe I'm just practicing. And then I scratch that beat. I'm like, I hate that. And I just take the lyrics and I'll like configure something else
Yeah.
underneath the lyrics. So a lot of times that'll happen.
Nice. Yeah, I feel that that's more common than you think.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know when I was trying to write, I would write to just industry songs.
Yeah.
And then so now I had a melody, now I had a song, and it was just a matter of finding, different instrument voices and like my own variation by the time. So it's just a matter of then it's like, all right, well now I got to make this, the lyrics are my own, the chorus is my own. Now I just have to find like peace in the music behind it.
Yeah.
And I didn't
Mm-hmm.
play. So now it's like, okay, give me the Kings of Leon guitar, give me the Dre snare, give me,
Right.
you know,
Yep. Yeah.
give me the Tame Impala kick from that one song, and then put that effect
Mm-hmm.
on my voice, and so
Yeah.
like
A lot of times, like all I need is a loop. All I need is like a really strong loop, something that's like empty. Because
yeah,
I feel like when people send me beats that are already made up, it's like, I don't know, it's like not enough space for me to like be creative melodically for me, I think. And so I much rather write to just like
yeah.
like
Can you write to a click?
a basic loop.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I probably could, but I haven't. Like I try to get like a loop, but I could.
yeah.
Um,
I'm asking because I can't. Like
oh,
I just put on a click in the background. I was like, yeah, it just doesn't. I can
yeah,
either nothing or another song. Yeah,
yeah. Most of the time, I think if I was to write to a click, I would get it would be for like tempo purposes. Like the lyrics that I hear in my head, I would just like sing the melody to the tempo of the click and like, but I would have to already have created the melody and everything like that. It's like the click isn't really an inspiration for me.
got it. Right. Yeah, yeah. Really,
Yeah.
it's like an exercise. Yeah,
Right, exactly. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm going to go back to something you said earlier. You said now my sound is a lot more polished.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a very unique experience with your catalog, right? You posted Golden, which is your new single, by the way. Everybody go out and listen to it. It's incredible. I listened to Golden when we first started talking on Thread. You're like, I have a single. I was like, I'll check it out. And I was like, wow, this is like really good,
Yeah,
right?
thank
Like,
you.
it's like
Yeah.
industry standard. It gave me like Corinne Bailey Ray vibes, but it was still its own thing, you know?
Nice. Yeah.
Who doesn't want one of those? Who doesn't want a girl put your records on in their repertoire, right?
Yeah, right. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it was giving me those kind of vibes, and I'm like, this is really good. And then we decided to do the show together. So I was like,
Hmm.
all right, well, now I got to start. Let's go back to the beginning. So as I'm listening to your stuff, you don't have a ton of stuff, so I can listen to at least every song once,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So go back to the beginning, and you can see the growth. And some people grow like this; they get better and better.
Hmm.
You get your early stuff was still good, so you grew like this, like you were getting more creative, right?
Ah,
And
yeah,
everything
yeah.
kind of had like a different sound, but the quality was there from like the first track, first
Oh,
album.
thank you.
Like you like came in as like a fully formed musician to me.
Oh, I
To
appreciate
me,
that.
that's
Yeah.
kind of like so. Then I'm listening from the beginning all the way back up to Golden,
Uh-huh.
and it really did seem like your music kind of hit its apex with your last single.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, that's awesome.
that is like the standout. And and like you're like 1A 1B with begins with a C, Hispanic song,
Oh, Chillando.
that Chillando's a bop.
Yeah.
Chillando's a secret too. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it wasn't just the song.
Hmm.
You can even see where like your Instagram even got like your social media got like better. Golden comes out, and like the mood and your like in your socials changed,
For
right?
sure.
So everything just kind of like blended. The pictures even got better, like your visuals got better, and it
Yeah.
was like you look like an artist that just arrived with that single. And I'm like, I'm glad I got her on my show before she's on Rogan and Zane Lowe and on another. Right?
Yeah, that's so cool that you say
Yeah,
that because it's true. I mean, I'll be honest, when you're an independent artist, you're just kind of like you're doing it all yourself, right? You're like I'm doing the artist development on my own. So for a while, it was kind of like just throwing stuff at the wall. And honestly, it was mainly because I was still trying to figure out who I was. What am I trying to say? What am I supposed to be? What is my purpose? Like, what am I supposed to
yeah.
be like leading with music? And just like, I, in the very beginning, I tried to like push it and I was like, I should already know where I am and everything like that. But honestly, throughout my journey, I kind of just stumbled upon it and I was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And, my music just naturally kind of became a form of like self-love and championing like freedom of like getting to know yourself and creating a relationship with yourself.
I think the word that came to mind when I listened to that single was effortless. Things
Effortless.
were intricate, things were creative. Pretty much everything you did felt very authentic, very you.
Yeah.
That Golden was like, oh, duh, that's her sound. Like, oh,
Yeah.
no brainer. Like that's where she landed.
That's me.
So
Yeah.
when you put some, first off, I have to know, you say you're doing everything yourself. So in terms of visuals, photography, all like that's all you. There's no one really coaching you, giving you.
So, I mean, of course I have a photographer. I have like a bunch of photographers that I go to. But yeah, I don't really have, I mean, I do have the privilege of working with great photographers who are like, hey, maybe try this pose, like, and move me around and everything like that. But for the most part, yeah, it's just me in front of the camera. And yeah.
Now that song in particular, first off, can you give me the time frame from inception of the idea to finished song?
Okay.
About how long is that?
Actually it came out, so yeah, so it took me like, I want to say like 2 to 3 years to actually finish the song
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah, you hear that, folks? 2 to 3 years for some of that. This isn't happening overnight.
Yeah, it totally wasn't. It totally wasn't. And that's not to say that the song wasn't already written. The song was actually written pretty far in advance. Like it was written back in I want to say 2022, maybe the ending of 2022. I had first written the lyrics to a TikTok, those verse challenges, the TikTok verse challenges, to another artist of that is in the same. She's like a peer of mine, that she was doing a verse challenge.
Got it.
And
Okay.
So I wrote the verse through that, and then it blossomed. I let it go for a little while, and then it blossomed. I just one day was like listening to it back and forth and everything, like on TikTok, and I was like, I really like the lyrics to this. It was fairly easy for me to write a verse and a chorus and everything. And so one day I just went on Splice and I just picked out a random loop that made me feel something, and then I wrote the rest of the song. And it was literally just it was literally just like not even a produced. It was literally like the demo that I had sent to my producer was just like 2 loops, and there was no drums, nothing, and I just wrote it all that way. And from then on, before I brought it to my producer, I was trying to kind of do things on my own, but I didn't really know where I wanted to take it, and it was kind of driving me crazy. So I left it for a little bit. And I was teasing it on Instagram and everything. And I kind of thought that maybe I was going to leave it the way it was as the demo and everything. But then after talking to a few of like my music friends and like then bringing it to my producer, my producer friend, Jess is her name. Everybody kind of was like, I'm hearing kind of like an EDM like song and everything. Some people were like, oh, maybe you should pick up the tempo. But I was like, I like the tempo. I like the way it is. Like I think it should be chill, but I still wanted it to have that like EDM feel. So like thinking and an R&B feel as well. So like thinking inspirations like Kate Renata, Neo, if you ever heard of her, um, and Raven Lene when it comes to like mixing my vocals. So yeah, that those were the inspirations, but it took me a long time for me to get there because I was just like, I don't know, just doesn't feel right yet, doesn't feel ready. So it went through a lot of like workshops.
Yeah, and I don't think artists do that enough. Thank you for having the emotional maturity to like let your song breathe. Like you
Yeah.
know, many times I'm like 45 minutes into a song, I'm like, I hate it, it's done. You know, sometimes it really is done,
Yeah.
but sometimes you're like you can come back to it and have something good. So like
Yeah.
I mean, I have an engineer with probably a dozen songs on a hard drive. There might be some gold still in there, but like
Yeah.
once I go off a song, like that's it. You know?
Well, honestly, I have to do that a lot actually because I'm very critical of my stuff. So just
Can
very
tell.
critical of myself in general. But I so yeah, when I write something, I write it and I'm like, okay, this is cool, this is cool. And then if I listen to it too much, I like kind of ruin it for myself. So I'm just like, all right, cool. I worked on it. I did the work. I'm gonna leave it for a little bit. And then when I feel like I can come back, I listen to it again, and sometimes I write something and I hate it, and then I come back like months later to that song that I hate just by stumbling upon it, looking through like my archives to write something new, and I'm like, oh, let me listen to this, and then I'm like, oh my God, I wrote that. That's actually kind of good. What was I thinking? Like, you know.
Wow. So have you performed it live yet?
I have, yeah. I performed it at a few of my shows at the W in Philly. I would love to perform it more. I'm getting more gigs, working on getting more gigs and things like that. Working on a tour. I would love to perform it on my own set. Um,
Nice.
and yeah, so I have performed it a little bit. And but that's yeah.
Well, speaking of performing, if I am a fan and I want to just come see you perform, what's the first two questions? One, where could I most likely see you perform or keep an eye out? Like what venues, what areas
Yeah,
I
so
might be able to see you perform at?
yeah, so I live in Philly now, so I'm usually performing in the Philadelphia area. I've performed at places like the W, um, Booker's, West Philly, and places like the Four Seasons.
Okay.
But also, I you can also catch me. I've performed last August. I performed at the Rahway Mayor Music Concert Series.
Cool.
So I do a lot of stuff in Rahway and things back in Jersey as well. So yeah, you can find me around Philadelphia and Jersey mostly.
Second question. If I was a fan, and there's plenty of ways to find you, plenty of ways to listen to you. But if there was only one way to really come and support you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah.
Is there like a piece of merch we should buy? You should always buy tickets when you're in town? Like, what's the best way to support you at this stage in your career?
Yeah. I think the best way to support me in my at this stage, for sure, stream my music and probably follow my socials.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah, definitely want to engage. Definitely want to, you know, have the contact with my fans to make sure that, you know, they're updated, getting updated with what I have going on. So yeah.
So also, I was noticing, I didn't see anything on your site yet. But is there like merchandise we'd be able to grab if I want to get like the Raquel T-shirt or like stickers or something to
Yeah.
put on my laptop or something?
Yeah, for sure. Yes, I am updating my website right now, but it should be up in a couple days. And I do have merch. I sell small things like little journals and phone
Yeah.
cases and t-shirts and things like that.
All
Um,
right.
yeah.
All right. For us sad and emotional songwriters, we get a little journal, keep it in our
Yeah,
back pocket
for
whenever we want to
sure. I
purge our
journal.
feelings.
Yeah, I journal a lot. So like I was like I should have a journal. I should have a journal that I sell to people. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But how do you see the next, say, 1 to 3 years playing out for you?
I see myself on tour.
Yeah, touring.
Yeah, I see myself on tour. Maybe have a couple of honestly, I've always wanted to do, and this is just like a passion project of mine, just not really I mean it could forward my music career, but I would love to do background vocals for somebody. Just like on tour. I would love. I would
Yeah.
love to do that. I don't know. It's fun. Backgrounds are so fun to sing.
Hit the harmonies and everything. And plus
Yeah.
pressure being up front. You just kind of,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, and then you're helping out your fellow artists and everything like that. So yeah, I definitely see myself on tour. And I see myself, yeah, just continuing to do the thing.
If the opportunity presents, do you see a Julian Jones, Raquel Liane collab in the future? If
Yeah, why not?
yeah,
We could
yeah,
do
all right,
it.
keep that in the back pocket. If I ever come out of retirement, you got me with a hook.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
All right, cool. And I know that we're running short on time. But one thing I want to get out, what message do you have for maybe a young lady in a similar position, elementary school, middle school, maybe even high school, that's looking to break into music? They feel like they have a message, but they just can't get over the hump. What message do you have for a younger musician just trying to get started?
Follow your heart and don't listen to, for lack of a better word, a shit that anybody has to say. Like, don't listen to any people will tell you a whole bunch of caca,
Yeah,
and it should really go in one ear and out the other because everybody has their own process, and everybody does things differently. There's like not one way to do that thing. So just follow your heart and do the things that feel the most authentic to you musically, and make your process your own. Don't 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 hurt yourself trying to live up to somebody else's process when that process doesn't work for you.
absolutely. Yeah, it's because it worked for them doesn't mean it's going to work for you. I like
Exactly.
that advice.
Exactly.
Um, I know that I want this to be a place where artists at any level can come by and make this a stop on the way for promotion or just to share their ideas. So
Hmm.
I hope, and I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart, one, thank you, thank you, thank you for coming on the show. Second, I want you to feel like whenever you're in the process of promoting something, if there's anything that we can do or Loves Music can do to support your movement, please don't hesitate to call. I want this to be like a second home for you. So when you have something and you want to promote it, come on the show and just chat. You are
Yeah.
always welcome here, Raquel. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, this was super cool.
Yeah, let's do it again soon, okay?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.